Who did this? Did you do this? Well, that's okay. I pardon you.
It's standard for presidents to pardon someone else. But could a president just say, I pardon me? They might. At least in the Constitution, it doesn't say that they can't. Here's what it does say. The Constitution gives the president the power to grant pardons for federal crimes, except in cases of impeachment. There's no mention of self-pardons. So where does that leave us? Legal scholars are split. Some against self-pardons argue it's a contradiction. You can't be the judge and the defendant. Mary Lawton for the DOJ Office of Legal Counsel wrote in a memo on August 5, 1974. Under the fundamental rule that no one may be a judge in his own case, the president cannot pardon himself. Many scholars argue that such an act would be antithetical to the framers' vision of a government bound by checks and balances. They believed in limiting concentrated power, especially in the executive branch. Others say if it's not explicitly prohibited, then maybe it's allowed. The Constitution places very few explicit limits on the president's powers to issue pardons. The only clear exception is for cases of impeachment. Proponents argue that if the framers intended to prohibit self-pardons, they would have explicitly said so. John Yoo, former DOJ official, wrote in a National Review, if the framers wanted to prohibit self-pardons, they could have said so. Has any president actually tried it? No, but President Nixon considered it. According to the 1974 DOJ memo, Nixon's lawyers discussed the idea of a self-pardon in the final days of his presidency. Instead, Nixon resigned on August 8, 1974, and then President Gerald Ford issued a full unconditional pardon to Nixon on September 8, 1974. If a president tried to pardon themselves, it would definitely go to the Supreme Court because there is no binding legal precedent. And then we have to wait and see how they would rule, and then we'd have to see whether the president would actually abide by that ruling. Until any of that happens, it's a lot of uncertainty.